Test. Hello and welcome to Rep Sports. I'm Gargi Rao. Let's talk about the T20 World Cup. T20 World Cups are rarely easy tournaments to win. Sometimes it comes down to adaptability, sometimes it comes down to adaptation and versatility, and sometimes it comes down to just the amount of sheer firepower in your team. And most of the times, the teams that can easily switch between these roles are the ones that will go ahead and win the tournament. Let's talk about India versus South Africa. There are a few concerns there. They have been there throughout the World Cup campaign for Team India, and we had been flagging these concerns, but the management and the Indian skipper came out and defended them over and over again. But right now is the time to recalibrate. Right now is the time to go ahead and make some moves that will make this World Cup a reality, that will make this World Cup title defense a reality. Because this is a team that has everything. It has firepower, it has balance, it has individual brilliance. But just the combination is somewhere the combination is not sitting right. Let's talk about the playing 11 first, because that's where a lot of questions arise, right? In the last game as well. Akshar Patel, vice captain, and the man who has rescued India multiple times from with the bat in World Cups, in ICC tournaments, and in very important matches, was left out of the squad. Now, Washington Sundar gives you that stability. Washington Sundar also gives you an option with spin, but at the same time, the kind of sharpness that Akshar Patel gives with his bowling is something that cannot be replaced. And again, the kind of firepower that he brings in the team, if an Akshar Patel had walked inside at number 5 in place of a Washington Sundar, maybe things would have been looking different. Maybe we would have been talking about an India win, who knows? But that is the kind of faith and belief that Akshar Patel gives you. And recalibration that we're talking about can begin with revisiting the entry points of certain batters based on the situation. We all thought when India lost the top 3, Tilak Verma, Ishan Kishan, Abhishek Sharma, we all thought that it was now going to be someone with a lot of firepower who will come in and walk into the game. But no, it was Washington Sundar. And the question arose because Surya Kumar Yadav was already there anchoring the innings. And Washington Sundar walking in meant that there was going to be another anchor in the game. And the kind of total that South Africa had set, 187 runs, on that wicket, with the kind of anchoring that you see in the middle overs, there is just a lot of pressure that will be built on the lower order. Let's talk about the left-hand cluster at the top. We have been speaking about this, that somewhere or the other is the Indian batting lineup becoming a little predictable. South African management came out ahead of the game and said that there are a lot of loopholes when it comes to the India batting lineup, and we are ready to exploit them. We've done our homework, we've done the analysis, we know what works against this team. In the 2 practice sessions that happened on match day -2 and match day -1, you saw that Aiden Markram was starting off the net sessions with the ball. And that is precisely what happened in the match as well. Against a left-handed Abhishek Sharma, right arm off spinner, Aiden Markram was put forward. From the other end, Marco Jansen. So when you contrast the 2 bowlers against the left-handers, Aiden Markram's off spin coming into the left-hander and Marco Jansen's angle across them, that causes that accumulates into a dangerous combinations for the top order to handle, especially when an Abhishek Sharma was not firing. Yesterday, and the last match that you saw, Abhishek Sharma just was not there. The connection that we've seen, the flawlessness, the effortlessness, or rather the intent that you've seen from Abhishek Sharma was missing at that point. My third point here is the batting tempo is also something that needs to be talked about, that plan needs to be revisited, that plan needs to be changed, or at least made more intent-based. It is a philosophical change as well that the Indian team will have to bring here. You talk about Indian management And you think of the questions that were asked in the press conferences throughout this World Cup, and the entire management defended the middle over anchoring. They said that these are tricky situations, these are challenging wickets, and we need to go out there and and we need to anchor the innings, because we know and trust our finishers enough to go out there in the last 5 overs and score 50 to 60 to 70 runs. But there will come a point in any tournament, and that's just the nature of T20 cricket, that the lower order will fail. That's what we've been talking about. We spoke about this back at the Asia Cup when Abhishek Sharma was going gung ho, and we said, what happens the day Abhishek Sharma does not fire? Thankfully, at the Asia Cup final, it was Tilak Verma and Shivam Dube with that partnership who saved that final. But it's not every day that a rescue act is successful. And by that logic of anchoring, uh, if you don't have intermittent aggression, it becomes stagnation. And if you look back on the last game as well, I have spoken about this before. Over number 6 to 6 to 11.4. Then again, in phases until the 19th over, there were a lot of phases where boundaries had completely dried up. And this time around, the lower order came in. Shivam Dube tried his best. 16th over, he scored two sixes, and after that, he couldn't do it. The next boundary came in the 19th over. That's not how India is going to win games. He did try his best to go out there and bat aggressively, but at the same time, there was just too much pressure. The required run rate at some point had gone to 14, 15, 13. And when Surya Kumar Yadav and Washington Sundar were batting, the run rate was 5.5. So that tells you something. Maybe the kind of philosophy that this T20 team had 1 year ago, when they said we are doing away with the anchor role because that's not how new age, modern age T20 cricket is played, maybe they had that philosophy right. Going back to that very template is now somewhat backfiring. The fourth question and my final question here is Tilak Verma. The Tilak Verma question, because throughout this tournament, management, Sitanshu Kotak, Mone Mokal, Surya Kumar Yadav have all come out and defended Tilak Verma, saying that he is holding together the innings. He is the one person he is doing exactly what we want him to do. These are the quotations from Sitanshu Kotak and the other management and the Indian skipper as well. But at the same time, his batting against spin, his strike rotation has been incredibly underwhelming. And if you look at the replacement that you have, someone like a Sanju Samson is sitting on the bench. Now, I know that in the 4 games preceding the World Cup, Sanju Samson had the opportunity to go out there and perform, and he did not. But at the same time, now that things are not going well for Team India, there are certain weaknesses in the batting lineup. Is it time to switch them up? Is it time for Sanju Samson to come in place of a Tilak Verma, or will you stick with the same old philosophy that you've been using throughout this World Cup? At number 3, I believe Sanju Samson can do some real damage. And if you go back to that India versus Namibia game as well, 22 of 8 deliveries. That showed you that Sanju Samson is doing something well, right? And we've been watching him in practice sessions as well. There was this one-off day in Delhi where we did say that Sanju Samson is not looking great in the nets. But apart from that, he's been looking good. And why not give him a chance in this Chepauk match? This will be another tricky surface. But at the same time, if not now, then when? And again, I go back to the point that World Cups are rarely won by avoiding defeats. They are rarely won by retreating into a shell. And the loss against South Africa has given India a chance to tune the machine, to fix the problems before the stakes get higher. And India take on Zimbabwe next in Chennai. I am in Chennai. We will be there today at the practice session. India practices from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And no press conference today. There will be a press conference tomorrow, of course, the pre-match press conference. But no, we won't be having any conversations with the management or any player for now. Practice sessions is all that we have to look forward to. We'll be looking at how Abhishek Sharma is looking, what his intent is like, and some other changes as well, because matchday -2 practice sessions usually give you a batting simulation sort of net sessions where every batter is going in their batting position. So if Sanju Samson comes in at number 3 instead of a Tilak Verma, that gives us a clue on whether or not he's playing in the next game. I did think ahead of the South Africa game that it was a litmus test for Tilak Verma. I also thought that it was a litmus test for how the combination is coming through. But India has a lot to calibrate on. At the same time, this is a team that has everything, right? This is the team that has the power, the stability, the balance, and the X factors as well. So all they need to do is get the philosophy right. On that note, I will take a few comments before I leave the show, before I close the show. Okay, newly relayed wicket at Chepauk is more batting friendly, not much assistance to spin. Would we go with 3 spinners or with the same combination? I think all you need to do is replace Washington Sundar with Akshar Patel. At the same time, I will have a look at the wicket today and try to understand what the conditions are like, speak to a few people. Maybe you could see a Kuldeep Yadav coming in, who knows. But yeah, we'll have to wait and watch. I can't just comment on the conditions before I've seen it. Tilak is the kind of player who can win match, but underwhelming due to just returning from injury. No matter what the reason is here, Tilak Verma is not as effective as he was just some time ago. I'm not saying he's a bad batter. I'm not saying he's a clutch player. But in this World Cup, it's just not been right. It's it's, how can you say it? The tempo hasn't been right for Tilak Verma's batting, and that is something that will harm India against stronger opponents, as you saw against South Africa. I've taken this one. All right. Okay, what's your take on broadcaster running ads and 300-run alert and mocking teams? This is sport, not content creation competition. At the beginning of the tournament, when the stronger teams would take on associate nations, those 300 alerts were a little bit disrespectful to the associate nations. And now that you look back on it, all of the associate nations gave a very tough fight to their opponents. Look at what India had faced against USA. That was a proper batting collapse at the top of the order. Then you look at Pakistan versus USA. You see a lot of Netherlands, how well they did. Even India did not have a very dominating victory against the Netherlands. So that was a little bit disrespectful, but that's what it was. I am glad they've stopped doing that now. Okay. Can't we play Sanju and Abhishek at opening and Ishan at 1 down and Abhishek playing sensibly, all problem solved? I don't think so. I don't think they will ask Abhishek Sharma to change his game mid-tournament. That's not going to happen. Neither do I think that he will be, sent up or down. Not up, he can't go up more than the opening position, but he won't be sent down the order. Ishan and Abhishek will keep his place, is my hunch. The only change that I see coming in the next game is Sanju Samson in place of Tilak Verma. Could very well happen. And of course, according to the conditions, the bowling combinations will change. But yeah, on that note, I'll take your leave. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll be back very soon, 12 p.m. Me, Shubhayan, and Rohit go live in Chennai. So don't forget to join us then. Prakash, we need to close the show.